I wanted to do a video review, introduction, whatever, on the Bridge City CT-10. If I'm not mistaken, this was the first bench plane they actually made. Before then, they'd made a series of block planes in their CT series. This was the first. They defined it as a low-angle smoothing plane. It's a bevel-up smoothing plane. It's about, let's see, 10 inches long, I think. The bed's about 9 inches long, so the total of the plane is about 10 and a half. So it's a good-sized smoothing plane. It's got a number of features that I really like. First of all, like most Bridge City planes, they advertise two things: A2 steel, back in the days when A2 wasn't quite as common as it is today, and the fact that they optically lap their blades so that the back of the blade is like a mirror. In fact, they don't even want you to mess with the back of the blade. So that's the blade. I'm not a big A2 fan, but in fact for this plane it works great. There's a few things to note that I think are really ergonomically, great. One is the blade retention system. This knurled knob, clockwise you loosen the blade, counterclockwise you loosen the blade, clockwise you tighten the blade. That is it. And the blade is absolutely rock solid tight. When I turn it the way I just turned it, it will not move. I've had the plane for about a month. The blade is not even one iota slid. So that's a nice feature, because I know John Economaki has really emphasized over the years trying to make it easy for us guys as we get older and the fingers start to get stiff and problems, arthritis, whatever. So extremely easy to put pressure on the blade. The same thing with the front handle, which opens the mouth, turns like that, move the mouth open, close it to wherever you want to close it to, turn it like that, you're done. It requires absolutely no strength. The sole is stainless steel. You can see the brass is dovetailed into the stainless steel. So most everything is brass, rosewood, probably looks like Brazilian rosewood, I would guess from the age, because this is over a 20-year-old plane. I'm trying to remember, the CT-10 would have been closer to 25 years old. It has, let's see if we can see it, the retention system has this bar which holds down this piece of brass onto the blade. This is a similar system to a number of Bridge City planes. In fact, their tiny little HP-8 has a very similar system. So I always think of this thing as sort of the nipple that this goes on to. And it's slightly magnetic. It holds by magnetism. So when you take the whole thing apart, it'll actually fall off. So how do you undo the plane? You just loosen it. I'm going to loosen the mouth too. They recommend, you can see my little pieces actually come off. They recommend that when you remove it all together. That means the blade and the adjuster come out together. Now sometimes they do, and sometimes the blade releases on its own, and then you pull out the adjuster. So this is sort of a Norris, pseudo-Norris style adjuster. You can turn it that way when it's in, and it will change the lateral configuration of the blade. The little, another little nipple here that goes into the hole. You choose which hole. Usually the first one is how you're going to start. As the blade gets used, I'll probably go back to other holes on the blade. So, obviously you're going to sharpen the blade, let's say, and then I'm going to put it back in. I'm going to see if I can get it all in at once without doing it separately. It fits into this hole. There's sort of a, you can't really see, but there's a hole there that it slides into. It slid in. Now I'm going to tighten it up, and I'm good. Close the mouth again. Not too tight, and I should be good. That's really all there is to it. I think I'm going to advance the blade a tiny bit. Let's see, I may not be right here. No, I got to advance it a little bit more. I've found with this plane, in the 3 or 4 weeks that I've been playing with it, very much like my Bridge City HP9. Okay, I'm pulling out all the Bridge City planes here. This is really a surgical tool. It will take a very, very fine cut, but it doesn't do a great job at taking a little thicker cut. I mean, a block plane isn't really designed for a thick cut anyway, but it doesn't. This, on the other hand, will take almost any cut that I want to take. Infinitesimally fine, much thicker. I've used it for shooting, even though a 10-inch plane seems a little small for a shooting board, but it works fantastic. I shot a fingerboard I was working on the other day. It did a great job. Boy, it's just been a wonderful all-purpose plane. You wouldn't call it, it's not big enough to really call it jack plane, but it's a pretty good sized smoothing plane. It's heavy. The one ergonomic thing I had to adjust to was the first day I used it, I tried to do my normal put downward pressure on the plane and sort of muscle the plane a little bit. The next morning I woke up with my back killing me. And then I realized with the weight of the plane, I needed to put no pressure on it. It does it itself. In fact, for some purposes, I was actually one-handed. I don't know if I can with this wood. So you don't have to muscle this at all. Even though it's heavy and it may seem like it's hard to wield it, it really isn't. The only other thing ergonomically that I had to adjust to is the front knob is so easy to turn and move. If you're not careful, you're liable to twist your wrist and actually unlock it. So you have to, I learned quickly to make an even pass and not yank my hand, opening up the knob. So really, that's what I can tell you at this point about this plane. This was the first in a series of 3 that they did, very similar. The CT-10, the CT-11, which was a lower bed angle than this one even, and then the CT-12, which I think was a regular sort of a bed angle. They're all very similar. So, I'm having fun. If you ever come across one of these, you'll now know at least a little bit about how they work.